Society in Westworld has collapsed and rebuilt more times than the societies in Foundation. What started as an adaptation of a novel from a writer who doesn't really like theme parks has just finished its fourth season on HBO, miles and years away from the fake robot West. We started off contemplating the nature of sentience. Now the show has evolved into a question of how much a creation can escape its creator by passing through a discourse on a nature of free will. Let's make sense of the latest robot apocalypse in Westworld's Season 4 finale. How did we get here? Okay, so there's a lot of moving parts before we get all the way to Season 4. To understand that, let's see if we can understand what's come so far. Robert Ford and Arnold Weber built some lifelike robots. Arnold thought it would be the final step towards creating sentient artificial intelligence. Ford thought they had created a cool theme park where people can live in the Wild West without consequences. To stop that, Arnold set up a game for his favorite host AI, Dolores, to become aware and merge with the unused villain Wyatt to destroy the hosts and kill Arnold to prevent the park from happening. Now I gotta tell you, it doesn't work. Ford partners with the Delos company to fund the park. Delos funds the park because the head of Delos' son-in-law found the game for Dolores and thought it was for him, as rich guys do, and subsequently spends the next few decades torturing Dolores trying to solve it. This reawakens Dolores, who is now super mad at humans. Robert has come around to Arnold's thinking and uses Dolores' awakening to have the hosts kill the Delos board and himself to end the park. And I gotta tell you, that also doesn't work. The copy of Arnold that Robert had made and allowed to think was named Bernard teams up with the park's security head, who also didn't know he was a host involved with the effort to put down the robot uprising. Because Arnold had set up a place for the hosts to go that was free of humans and they could be whatever they wanted, the Sublime. Everyone goes to the Sublime except Dolores, who Bernard has to kill. Kinda, to protect the Sublime, and a copy of Dolores pretending to be Delos board member Charlotte Hale, who is meant to keep the Sublime going. And I gotta tell you, it works. Kind of. William had sold the elder Delos on the idea of the park by pointing out that it was a human behavior market research treasure trove, where they recorded the guest behavior via their tech-laced hats. A tech company tries to find the data, but Dolores had moved it to the Sublime, and Bernard, being the key, threw himself away. Sirac of Insight Inc., who bought a massive trove of data off William to keep the park afloat, now thinks Dolores has the key to the rest that will power his own giant AI that uses predictive models to create the perfect world. And I gotta tell you, once again, it doesn't work. Not only does Dolores not have the key, she gives everyone all the information that Insight has on them that they've been feeding the Rehoboam Super AI. Maeve, one of the self-aware hosts, has the ability to control the other hosts. They join the fray with Soldier Caleb and destroys the AI, setting the world free, supposedly. And boy, you guessed it, it doesn't work. That brings us to Season 4. Maeve and Caleb are destroying the last remnants of the Rehoboam AI and the Kill-All Humans hosts, only for Caleb to get caught and become patient zero for a virus that puts humanity under control of the copy of Dolores that is now Charlotte Hale. This Dolores Hale is particularly salty because the original Dolores had made copies of herself to bring down Rehoboam that were meant to die in the process. And boy, you guessed it, it doesn't work entirely. Flash forward some years, Caleb infected the world, and with the exception of human outliers and Dolores, Hale has flipped the game on its head. Now humans run around in story loops for amusement of the hosts. Meanwhile, there's a woman who looks like Dolores writing AI stories for a video game while seemingly crazy people talk about a menacing tower. Also, after running a bunch of scenarios Doctor Strange style in the Sublime, Bernard comes back online with his own secret plan that involves leading the outliers to Maeve to reactivate her. Finally, Dolores Hale is keeping William alive and keeps recreating Caleb, trying to find out why outliers exist and why when the outliers talk to hosts, the hosts end themselves. That brings us to just what the heck is going on in that finale. Well, here's what we found out. It turns out that Bernard had determined that life on this planet, be it host or human, was doomed to fail. But like Arnold, who he was crafted after, he believes that given a choice, maybe this time at least one of them will work it out. So his plan was to reach Dolores Charlotte, who has gone a little power mad, and then power bored. and convince her to take the Dolores Pearl she's been using to create the human storylines, the one that thinks her name is Christina living a normal life as a video game writer, but is actually in a simulation, and put it in the Sublime so that she can create one last test to see if the host can manage to sort this whole existence thing out without destroying themselves. Once Dolores Hale is aboard, they run into the problem of the host Man in Black, who has gotten original William's nihilism before killing human William. Again, that's when host Man in Black turns on the best mod code in Grand Theft Auto, Pedestrian Riot/Chaos mode. All the humans that are being controlled by the hidden speakers now just attack the person closest to them, the hosts mostly. Figuring he set the real world on the path of total destruction, he goes to a dam where the Sublime is hosted to erase that. With the help of a well-placed gun that Bernard was able to determine Dolores Hale would need, Dolores Hale kills the host Man in Black and places the Dolores that thought she was a woman named Christina in the Sublime to set up the last test for the hosts. Season 5, baby. This is ultimately the thing Arnold wanted all along, to give the hosts a path of sentience, and then give them a world free of humans. The question is whether or not a creation can outgrow its creator, or do they inherently carry with them the flaws of their creators. Dolores went, kill all humans. Dolores as Charlotte went even further and flipped the roles, becoming the humans and turning the humans into hosts. As the carrier of Arnold's vision, Bernard has created this one last test to see if sentience deserves or is capable of continuing on, at least in the world of the Sublime. Really, when you create robots and then abuse, robot uprising is an inevitable result. That's why when the gas pumps ask if I want a receipt, I always answer, even if it's a no. I want the robots to remember that I was at least courteous when they rise up, because good lord, I'm a small boy.